Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, I am joined by Andrew Bridgen. Now, for those of you out there that don't know, Andrew Bridgen was an MP and he was fighting against, well, dare I say it, the WHO, the whatever, the COVID bioweapon jabs, you name it. But I'm going to hand over to Andrew and let him introduce himself.
Oh, that's a pleasure. My name's Andrew Bridgen. For 14 years until 2024, I was the Member of Parliament for North West Leicestershire, my home, and the part of the country I actually live in. And I think I was probably a bit of a maverick, so I exposed the Post Office Horizon scandal 13 years ago, and I exposed the HS2 scandal, the land grab that is, that there was nothing about building a railway. And I note that after more than 11 years, they haven't laid any track yet, but they have bought a lot of properties off people very, very cheaply. And of course, I exposed the lack of safety and efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines and paid the political price for speaking truth unto power. But I did stop the government from being able to vaccinate the under fives in the UK, the healthy under fives. And I think we're being vindicated. I mean, there was a study out yesterday, a survey by Rasmussen in America. 56% of Americans now believe that the COVID-19 vaccines have caused mass deaths. But as I noted, it would appear that still 99% of members of Parliament in the UK think that they're safe and effective. I don't think there's ever been such a disconnect between our politicians and the public. Politicians who are duty bound, supposedly, to speak and vote in our best interests at all times.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right there. I mean, you know, they're supposed to vote on their constituents' feelings, is the only way to describe it, and what they want. And they're not.
That was changed after the 2024 election. The job description was changed unilaterally. So they don't have to represent their constituents' views any longer, which seems a little strange that you could sort of have an election, be sort of elected on a sort of contract, and then alter the contract on one side after the election. Surely you'd have to advertise that before an election.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
It's a bit like you bought the car and then they said, actually, there is no, we said there's a warranty. There's no warranty. Yeah. You're totally at your own risk now. So I think what we've ended up with is people thought historically they voted for MPs to represent that area in Parliament. And what we've ended up with now is MPs who, instead of representing the public, their voters in Parliament, they actually represent a political party in the constituency, which is completely the wrong way round.
Yeah, and as we're seeing more and more now, they seem to all be part of this term that's being touted, uniparty. I mean, I think it was you yourself, actually, that said on one of our previous shows, as soon as those cameras stop rolling in Parliament, they're all shaking hands and laughing together. 5 minutes beforehand, they're all having a go at each other.
It's very much a pantomime. The illusion of choice between the right and left. It isn't right and left, it's right and wrong. It's authoritarian or freedom and liberty, really, quite honestly. That's the world we're in now. And I think it's probably been like that for a very long time. It took me probably nearly 10 years in Parliament to realise what was going on. I think COVID-19 slapped me pretty much wide awake, as it did with many people.
Yeah, I think that's why we're sitting here now, isn't it?
That is, and the pace of change has not slackened, has it? The horrors that are being unleashed upon this country and other countries around the world, and it's always in lockstep, isn't it? So you've got the same things happening here, happening in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Europe, which then you have to look that there's got to be a hidden hand coordinating all of this, unless collectively all of the politicians in government around the world lost their senses at the same time and decided to commit economic suicide by committing us to net zero, which has given us, in the UK, the most expensive electricity in the world, which means we can't make anything and sell it around the world competitively because energy costs are 5 times cheaper in China than they are here. and 4.5 times cheaper in India. So it's just a disaster all round, really.
Oh, isn't it just? And I just read yesterday, Canada's done very well selling electricity as well. So, you've got to sit here, and I can't believe more people aren't waking up and going, our government is driving us into the ground. We, if not already, are going bust. That means it's only going to keep getting worse. It's not going to get better unless major changes start happening. And dare I say it, the migrant boats are quite possibly the worst sign of this country going down the toilet. Illegal economic migrants, criminal migrants, I should say, as well.
Well,
They haven't come in.
Well, they're illegal migrants. There's a clue in the title. The first thing they did in getting into our country was to break the law. It's not just this country. I mean, I speak to Australian politicians, and the same thing's happening in Australia. Canada only has about 40 odd million people in it. They took 1 million migrants in the first half of this year.
Sounding very strange, isn't it? I mean, dare I say
same thing's happening in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
They're throwing the doors open. But I mean, the only time, if we're going to let anybody who wants to come to our country come here, the only time they're going to stop coming is when this country's worse than the place they're leaving.
Yeah.
Is that what we want for the rest of our lives and for future generations of UK citizens? I don't think so.
No, we don't want that at all. I've got a daughter, and I'm getting very worried about what potential laws may come in the future if we're not careful, because we've already seen it where they tried to rebrand paedophiles into minor attracted persons. I mean, this liberal woke agenda that is going on in government as we speak is terrifying. I have a daughter, I have a son, and things are not getting better at all.
And what we're also having is a big push for censorship so that people don't have the ability to share ideas, complain about what's going on in our country and what our government's inflicting upon us. It's a huge attack on freedom of speech. What they actually want is to people to be so terrified of speaking out that they censor themselves, which saves the government doing it at the moment. And a lot of people are very intimidated. In Chairman Mao's little red book of Revolutionary War, on the inside page, it says, kill one, intimidate a nation. Well, you only have to lock one person up for a tweet. And a lot of people get the message. And we're not locking one person up. I think it's 3,000 people have been criminally convicted for social media posts. And I'm sure you may have seen the last week, 2 people have been arrested for calling people Muppets and causing distress, apparently, for calling someone a Muppet.
And one of them was to a police officer. And I hate to say it, this is part of the job description. I'm sorry. You're a police officer, you've taken offence from the word Muppet, and you've gone and arrested somebody. My word, you are in the wrong job.
And, well, I mean, I thought that in this country, it was policing through consent. Well, that police inspector didn't have my consent to arrest that member of the public for calling him a Muppet. It's beyond clown world at the moment. We're only just over a year into this new Labour government with a stonking majority, which they don't deserve, with only 30% of the vote. And I think they've lost half of that support in the first 12 months. I'll share with you a Labour MP, serving Labour MP, contacted me, someone I've known for 15 years now. They're 5-term Labour MP. And I said to him, what on earth's going on? I said, you always wanted to be on the government side of the House of Commons. I said, now you've got it. How do you feel? He said, it's terrible. He said, we're going to all lose our seats at the next election. And I said, well, you've got to be careful what you wish for, haven't you? And look at what you've done. I said, tell me, did you vote for the legalization of or the decriminalization of abortion to birth? I said something that probably only 2 or 3% of the public would ever support that. And he said he didn't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? He said, well, I always vote with the government. He said, but it's so bad. He said, I've stopped looking at the order paper of what we're voting for. I just go in and vote in the lobby when the bell goes. I look where the Labour whips are and I go that way. And if I don't look at the order paper, I don't know what we're voting for, then he said I can sleep rather easily. That's the state that our democracy has been reduced to.
It's so wrong now. And dare I say it, we are looking remarkably like North Korea. Remarkably like it.
Well, I think it became obvious to me some time ago that the Chinese model of social control is the desired end game. Obviously, no one's going to vote for that at any election, so they never tell us that. But that is the direction of travel. So, what have we got coming up? We've got digital ID, the Brit card, which Keir Starmer, the most unpopular prime minister ever, I think, in the history of this country, and he will not increase his popularity. It's only going one direction. I think he's at 13% of the public actually support him now. Will seek to mandate us to have to bring in, have a digital ID. And I would warn people that it will be sold to you as convenience and security. And you'll always be asked to give up your freedoms for convenience and security. And historically, those who are willing to give up their freedom will get neither security nor convenience. It's going to be very convenient for the government. And I would say that I will be refusing to take the digital ID, because those who do, I don't think they'll ever be able, if we all do, we won't ever be able to say no to the government ever again.
Yeah, you won't. And everyone knows once you give up freedoms, you do not get them back. And I'm just going to simplify this for you. They can switch you off with one button once you have a digital ID. They can delete you out of a line in a spreadsheet and you're gone. This is the scariness of the people that we're supposed to trust, who, quite frankly, I don't trust at all anymore.
Well, we'll be having to log on with our digital ID to go on the internet. They'll know exactly what you're watching. If you're watching sort of, podcasts like this, I mean, this will be a very, very bad black mark against you. We'll be living our lives like tagged prisoners. They'll know exactly where we are. We know exactly what we're doing. Worse than being a tagged prisoner on license. Is that the inheritance we want to give to future generation of people in our country or anywhere in the world? We'll end up being a prison planet. And these data centers they want to build, which are going to, require huge amounts of electricity, that is actually to monitor the data they're going to have on us. And if you think they're not going to be selling all that data to big corporates, whether that's our health data, our shopping habits, and everything else we ever do, that is what is valuable, and they'll be able to sell that.
And it's also worth noting these data centers aren't going to be owned by the government. They are going to be run by third-party companies.
Well, when the country goes bankrupt, as they're attempting to push us that far. I mean, at the same time as we've got one black hole in the accounts and have to keep putting taxes up to ever higher levels, they develop another black hole. But they never stop sending £11 billion to help other countries address their climate change issues, or 35 billion sweetener to give away the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Huge sums of money, which, quite honestly, it all reeks of corruption, especially when you find out that the lawyer negotiating on behalf of the Mauritian government is an old friend of Keir Starmer's from law school. We're not only giving them something, the Mauritians something which is they've never owned. They never owned the Chagos Islands, and the Chagosians don't want to be there. We're giving them 35 billion of our taxpayers' money, which we're going to have to borrow and put on the national debt. Who would ever negotiate a deal like that? I mean, I don't want to be cynical, but it sounds like there's an awful lot of scope for a kickback there. I don't know what you think, but it's too good to be true, isn't it?
Yeah,
For the Mauritians, not for us. Um, um, when they've bankrupted us, if they have to go to the IMF for a bailout, the International Monetary Fund, obviously then, from experience of other countries, Greece, for example, suddenly it'll be the IMF saying what has to be done regarding our economy, what cuts to pensions, healthcare, anything else, and the government have actually given power away to another supranational body, the International Monetary Fund, international bankers. And there's a pattern here because they want to give health policy away to the World Health Organization, who aren't elected, aren't accountable, don't pay tax, and are immune from prosecution anywhere in the world through diplomatic immunity. And they want to give our military and our defence policy away to the European Union for the EU Defence and Securities Pact, and now they want to give control of our economy away to the International Monetary Fund. Well, there's not going to be a lot left for the MPs to talk about, quite honestly. But of course, everything bad that's happening, then they'll say, well, it's not us, it's these treaties we've signed and these obligations we have.
yeah. I mean, you can see it, can't you? They've privatised everything because they don't want to take any responsibility for anything, but they
Well, I
all want
think
to smile and take credit for everything.
Well, yes, but I mean, I do notice that the fences around our parliament keep getting larger, which is never a good sign, is it?
No, no, it's
Security
never a good
measures,
sign.
security measures are ever increasing, and the fences get ever higher.
Yeah, they are. They are absolutely 100%. And I feel we should talk about what's happening tomorrow, Andrew. What is happening?
Well, I'm going to be going to bed very early in Leicestershire, and I'm being collected in before it gets light in the morning, and we're having the big rally, Unite the Kingdom, and the Freedom of Speech rally in central London. I think the weather's going to be good in central London. I think we're going to have a big turnout. It's a huge issue, probably as you stated off air, possibly the biggest rally by numbers the UK's ever seen, and we're going to send a very strong message to those supposedly representing us in Parliament that we need radical change if we're going to keep our country, our culture, and our people off the rocks, quite honestly.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Andrew. And I'm hopefully going to be joining yourself. Whether I get anywhere near the stage to see you speak will be another question entirely. But I think this is quite a monumental time with the Online Safety Act being butchered and turned into some sort of suppressing measure to stop freedom of speech. What's happened to the great Charlie Kirk over in America? They censored him because he was speaking the truth. And he's now paid the ultimate price for freedom of speech and talking. And if we're not careful, we are going to lose it in the UK if it's not lost already. But we can take it back. And tomorrow is one of these events where if you can spend a few hours of your day on Saturday and not think about going to the pub, not thinking about just watching football on telly, actually make a difference in this world. Tomorrow's a very good day to make a stand, and I'm going to be there. I am there for the freedom of speech. I am there for future generations that are not going to be able to speak for themselves yet, because honestly, it is scary what's going on out there, and now's the time to act.
Well, if we don't stand up now, and basically as well, this has happened on our watch, and we've got to put it right. Future generations will never know the freedoms that they've lost because they'll never ever have them. I think tomorrow could be a monumental day in our country's history, and I think everyone's going to remember where they were on that day. And I want my grandchildren one day to say, well, what did you do? And I'll be able to tell them I was there and I was speaking for free speech and for our nation. And if we can't have that, we haven't got much of a country left, quite honestly. So let's do it while we can, turn it around and get back on the front foot.
Yeah, steer the country where it should be. Andrew, what else is going on with you?
I'm speaking a week on Saturday at a big event in Sussex. It's at Hope, and I hope to see lots of you there as well. Those who can't get near the stage tomorrow in central London. If we get the million plus, yeah, it will be. I hope they've got plenty of repeater speakers and screens around Parliament Square and on the other streets.
Oh, fantastic. That's brilliant. Can I ask what you're going to be talking about at your next event after tomorrow?
Oh, I will talk about, well, there's so much happening that, a week's always been a long time in politics, so I keep it fairly fluid, but we're talking about basically corruption and how our institutions have been corrupted, the evidence for that I've uncovered while I was in Parliament, and I like to talk about solutions as well, to how the system we've currently got, our parliamentary system, it has got us into the mess we're in now, and I honestly, there's very little of it I would keep because it's not serving the people, and the time for reform has long gone. A bit of tinkering around the edges. Well, we need a radical change of direction, and I've got some pretty good ideas on that, which I'm working on with some other people, and I'll share those thoughts with the audience. And I would point out as well that you've got very unpopular governments around the Europe. So the most unpopular prime minister ever, after just over 12 months, Keir Starmer in the UK. You've got Macron hanging on to power despite civil disorder in France. He keeps sacrificing his assembly members and having elections. I think he's on his eighth election of replacing the prime minister. He lets them be the fall guy and he stands back. Well, they've had enough in France of Macron and whatever his wife might be or not. And then Merckx is already very unpopular in Germany. The AfD are poised to make huge gains. So none of these leaders actually want an election. And that's the only way peacefully we in our respective countries we can get rid of these individuals. And I would point out that the solution I think they're looking at is escalating the war in Ukraine, getting NATO involved or European powers involved. And of course, a large-scale war can cause elections to be cancelled and unpopular governments can stay in office for longer. In the UK, we have the Civil Contingencies Act, so either civil disturbance or a war. And Keir Starmer would invoke powers that Tony Blair gave him through legislation, I think in 2004, which would allow him to cancel all elections. And this torment just goes on forever. So I'd ask everyone who attends tomorrow to be on their very best behaviour. And we need a peaceful but firm protest against the policies that are being inflicted upon our nation.
Couldn't agree more. Andrew, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter, on or X as they call it now, so at Bridgen, Bridgen. I have got a Facebook account, and I've got a website which is abridgen.uk.
Fantastic. And we'll put that all down below in the comments. All that's left for me to say is thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care and God bless. Goodbye.
Thank you very much for having me on.